Hello and welcome to another episode of Silence is Golden. I'm your host, Simon Kelly.
And I'm Ginny Mac.
And today what we're going to be talking about is a web design workflow. We're also going to be taking a look at a place in WordPress where you can actually post your ideas and you can help to shape the way that WordPress is built. We're also going to be taking a look at how you can, some tools in MailChimp to help you boost your WooCommerce store. And we're going to look at a couple of photos from WordCamp London. Stay with us.
So as you can see, there's no Troy Dean this week. I thought he was back this week, but he's actually not back. Well, he is, not back till tomorrow from New Zealand.
Didn't think anyone would notice.
No.
It's just great having you on the show, Jen.
Yeah, I think
awesome.
I've
Loving
warmed
it.
the seat now. I think Troy's going to have to fight to get it back.
100%.
Well, I'll make a guest appearance a bit more often, I think. I've really enjoyed it.
Definitely.
So, yeah, so what about you? You've had a good week?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been busy, for sure. Definitely busy. It's a bit of a short one for me this week because on Friday I'm doing a talk for Dave Jennings for Systemology.
Oh, good stuff. So you've been preparing for that?
Yeah.
How do you go with live chatting? Live talk,
well,
live
I don't know.
presentation?
I like them. I really like them.
Yeah.
It's different to this, obviously, because there's people there.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I'm going to go because it's been a while. It's been a lot of camera stuff, but we'll see how we go when there's humans in the audience.
Well, let us know. Keep us
maybe
updated.
I'll just do it through a camera and then live stream it like right there. So it's just like around the other side of the room.
So now you're comfortable in front of the camera.
Exactly.
How good is that? You never would have thought that.
Yeah. And then shockingly anxious in front of people.
Yeah.
So it's just it's ruined it. So it's been some updates, been some things happening. So let's take a look at some stuff that happened.
Stuff that happened.
So there's been an update to the WordPress theme review where it's placing more onus on the theme authors, which I think is really great. This news comes from WP Tavern. I really like this. Well, I'm interested in this change because what I think that they're doing here is they're making it so that it's faster and easier for the people that need to check all the themes, faster and easier for them to get through that process. So it's more about the authors having their own checklist and their own ways to validate their theme before it gets submitted. And then really it's just making it less of a manual human process to get things approved and sent through.
Because when I read it, I thought, oh, isn't it making it easier for themes, like for things to get through and maybe slip through the cracks? Yeah,
potentially. Yeah. But what they've also done is they've pushed more of the more checklists and different checks that people are required to do before they even submit it. Right. So the onus is on them, but still all the checks are there and all the documentation is there. So it's easier to refer to and say like all of these things need to be done. So if they're not, it's easier for the checker to look at those things and see if it needs to be done. Yeah. So I think on the one hand it's opening things up a bit more, but on the other hand it's making things a bit more efficient, which I think is good. Because
there was a huge backlog, wasn't there?
Massive.
Yeah,
and that just makes it so much harder for the ecosystem to grow because there's too much red tape.
Okay, so all up sounds like a good thing.
I think so.
Yeah. Cool.
So there you go. So also, there was an article by WooCommerce with MailChimp tools to help grow your WooCommerce store.
I liked this one. I didn't know how many little integrations and things you could do with this.
Yeah. So they're really focusing on being more of like a marketing automation tool, MailChimp, as opposed to just doing newsletters. Yeah. See, they released landing pages not too long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're really trying to push that. Was there anything that stood out for you?
Yeah, it was like your one-stop shop. I was thinking, gee, you wouldn't need anything else. So, there's that gentle reminder of customers, you've left something behind. I like that one. You can segment your customers into sort of warm leads, hot leads, people who are buying all the time. So, yeah, there's so many, like I was reading through it going, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Great templates. So, yeah, I think it's definitely worth a read and worth checking out.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's getting a lot better, MailChimp. I'm still using ActiveCampaign a lot for a lot of my automations, but MailChimp is getting a bit better. But what I don't like about what they do is that a contact isn't an individual record. So if you've got multiple lists, they count by lists. So 10 lists with the same contact is 10 contacts, which is annoying.
Yeah.
So if you have different lists for different segments as well, it's really frustrating.
Okay. Oh, I haven't been in there for a while, so that's a good point. But yeah, just to get started, I think we often recommend it to people. It's just so quick and easy to use as well.
And free still, I think,
to a
for
certain
2000?
level. Yeah. So
pretty good.
Good one to get started on. Yeah, but a good article worth checking out.
Yeah. So each week, just a quick reminder to jump in, each week we do bring this WordPress news to you. So if you do like what it is that we're doing, please give us a comment, hit the like button or jump onto YouTube and hit subscribe and click the bell to be notified that we've got a new video. We'd really appreciate that, and that would really help us to know that we're doing something that people like.
Definitely, and then you can leave your comments on our videos too and say what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want to hear more of. So we want to hear from you, so the best way to do that is subscribe and make sure you're alerted each time we do a video.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please. WordCamp London was on over the weekend.
Yeah.
Super jealous seeing a lot of elevators there.
Yeah.
And a lot of great talks. So here are a couple of things that I really liked.
Yeah.
So GoDaddy had a notebook. And it was hashtagged best swag ever by WordCamp London, and it's got like how to get involved with WordPress, like training, WordPress TV, how to get involved with the marketing, and then for each speaker, it had speaker, their Twitter, takeaways, and then some drawing space.
Professional.
I didn't want to say doodles, but I've said it now. So I thought that was great. Like that's a really useful notebook to have at a WordCamp.
Yeah.
Like that's perfect. Yeah.
So did everyone get one of those?
No idea. Yeah. I didn't get one, so who cares?
But yeah, that's a great way to keep track of things. And I always get jealous when I see these WordCamps on all over the world, because we've got, you know, heaps of international members. So when they are on, everyone gets together in real life and they send photos, and it's so exciting to see people actually meeting up. So yeah, we had a good WordPress meetup, WP Elevation meetup before, I think, or during at a bar, and we saw everyone getting together having a few beers. So yeah, very jealous. Yeah. I think WordCamp Atlanta was on at the same time too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So yeah, lots going on with the WordCamps at the moment. What else did you see?
So one of our elevators, and I will probably get her name wrong, Piccia, P-I-C-C-I-A. Let me know. Hopefully you're not watching. But someone I'm sure will tell you. There was Piccia did a talk on Gestalt-based psychology for UI in web design, which I thought was really interesting. Gestalt, is a psychology method that I won't talk about here because I don't properly know it, so you can Google that one.
Yeah.
But I'm just really interested in me. First of all, very proud that you got up there and did a talk. That's awesome. I know it's not your first, but that's great. But yeah, I'd love to see that talk. So I'm looking forward to the recordings.
Let's find out a bit more about that.
Yeah.
So the recordings are all going to go up?
Well, if history serves us, they don't really go up for another 6 months. But I'll keep my excitement going until then. Yes. So check out all the photos. Hopefully some of the key takeaways from the talks will come out soon, and I'm looking forward to catching up on those ones.
Yeah, beautiful.
So there you go.
So is that our week in news? Have we got anything else?
Well, if you like news, then you'll love WordPress Wednesday, which is something else that we do here at WP Elevation.
Nice segue, Simon.
You can subscribe. So we bring quite a lot of news in that newsletter. There's over 10 articles to do with WordPress, WordPress development, marketing, e-commerce, self-care as well, which I think is we all think is really important when it comes to growing your own freelance business and consultancy. So you can subscribe at, well, this link will definitely get there.
Tell us.
wplinks.io/wp-wed, W-E-D.
Cool.
So check that out and subscribe.
Yeah. And we usually, Troy curates it, but we're going to get you to do some curating of it as well too.
I've done one.
Well, you're going to be back in the hot seat.
Perfect.
But yeah, it does help you stay top of your game. So
yeah, definitely.
It's definitely worth doing.
Yeah, especially if you put it together, you're like, wow, this is interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's a good way for us to keep on top of it each week. Yeah.
Sometimes it's frustrating staying on top of things though.
Frustrating.
Really grinds my gears.
I feel it pisses me off coming up.
This pisses me off.
So something that really grinds my gears is people copying websites and even just copying pages, even copying graphics just stop doing it. Like, it's not going to help your business if you just take someone's page and just duplicate it and think that's going to grow your business. First of all, you're copying things for SEO, so you're going to get penalized for that. Second of all, you don't even know their business, you don't know the model behind it, and you're just not going to be able to build something sustainable from that. And just by the sheer fact that you are copying something, you're probably not going to be able to build something sustainable anyway, because it's just not the right mindset to get into business. So come up, you know, inspiration is okay, taking inspiration from something, but come up with your own ideas, tweak them, make these things your own, and then make sure that it's actually going to help you in your business instead of copying and pissing not just me off, but everybody off.
So is this a big thing? Does this happen a lot like, it's so hard, isn't it? Copyright. Copyright was invented before we had websites around. So, you know, it was meant to be for paper things. So it's so hard to keep track of, isn't it?
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
So, you know, it does happen a lot more than we probably even think. And you've even said you've got a lot of clients saying to you, oh, people are copying this, people are copying that.
Well, just the fear of copying, even. They just think, oh, how can I don't want to put my work out there because it's going to get copied. So, so they really want to protect themselves. Like, how can we make it so the internet can't be screenshot? Like, you can't.
So yeah, look, there's two sides of this. The first one is, stop being lazy, get your own content, and even if you've got an idea and you're trying to get your developer to do it, don't think that they're not going to be going around copying as well. So you've got that responsibility to make sure that whatever work you are stamping your name on is actually you know, it's being done ethically. Yeah. So that's one side of it. The other side is, you know, there are things that you can do to protect yourself as well. And we have just published a great article. I might even get Max to have a look at my screen in a minute. We just published it this morning. So it doesn't matter if you can't get it, Max, but it's hot off the press, the WordPress Consultant's Guide to Copyright for Websites. Nice. Okay, so if you go to our blog, it's the first one on the blog. I think we've also got a quick link for that as well. But our in-house writer, Suzanne, who writes for us every couple of weeks, has done a huge article on this, so it's good timing. It basically talks about what copyright is and how, you know, what is it with websites. So pretty much with websites, you know, there's so much that you can't say that's been plagiarised, but things that you can, that is protected, is your written content, so blogs, for example, photographs embedded on a page, artwork and illustrations that are created by hand and uploaded for use on that site, videos, animations, audio, and then proprietary code, so any code that's been specifically written for this website. So, you know, it gets a bit murky when you're talking about themes and going into other things, because, you know, you've got to prove that no one else has used this. But that's important to know, that that's good stuff that can't be copied. But then I love it about this article because she gives you some really good tips about what you can do to protect yourself. So to start off with, obviously, the main thing is make sure you put the little copyright sign on, and then, you know, have that linking off somewhere too, to a bit of a statement that you've got. But then there's terms of usage that you can add, and there's also some really cool plugins if you want to get this deep. Like there's one that's even a right-click plugin that doesn't let you highlight, right-click and copy the text. Now, of course, someone can screenshot it or just write it by hand, you know, type it by hand, but I suppose it's a deterrent, something that sort of stops you from going that next level. So I was telling you this morning, saying, oh, some great tips in this article, but then you were saying as well, some people get a bit too carried away by this, right?
Definitely. Yeah, like I've had some projects where clients will say, can you make it sure that this can't be copied and pasted at all? And if someone really wants to do it, it's not too hard to get past all of those things and make it happen. So what we have a lot of our members do, just every now and then they go into a website that they all recommend is the best, and Copyscape? Yes, Copyscape, and they just run it through that just to see if anyone's using that. What I was actually talking to someone about not copying someone's website the other day, and I said, you know, you've got to put it through Copyscape, and I went, I'm just going to put mine through Copyscape, and I was like, oh, there's a couple of sites in there that are a bit similar, which I thought was hilarious. But, you know, to be honest, as long as it's not affecting my SEO, then it's going to be affecting them more negatively than it is to me. So I just think, that's a bit lazy. You guys should sort your stuff out. If it's really over the top, then I'm going to get in touch with them. But I'm not going to get too stressed and waste my time. I need to focus myself on my business and just keep my head down.
Yeah, and we've found that just through people that we've talked to, if they do reach out to the person and say this is what's happening, often they'll take it down straight away. You know, you can make certain threats, you know, and it talks about, you know, what you can do in this article as well. But it was funny, we were talking to Ray about it, and Ray was saying like how I was saying, oh, I'd be taking it really personally, and he said, oh, I'd just reach out and go, well, thank you, I'm honoured that you value my work. However, you know, and he was saying, you know, don't take it personally, just, you know, put up this is what I want you to do, and most of the time they'll get rid of it, but it can take up a lot of anxiety otherwise.
Oh yeah, definitely, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Cool.
Well,
all right.
How nice is the orange trying to connect sign on Asana? That's really nice. That's going to make things a lot smoother moving forward. So that's what really annoys me. So don't copy, because it's bad, because it really pisses me off and it pisses everyone off. So take inspiration, tweak it, make it your own, and that's the way to do it.
Good advice. I like that.
So we had some questions coming from the community. You know, we'd like to help, and your internet is down too, so it's going to be very, very hard for us to see what these questions are, but I'm pretty sure I can remember them. So let's take a look, and let's help some people get unstuck.
Let's get unstuck.
This is going to be good because this shows us how much we rely on the internet for our questions.
For our live streaming to the internet.
So Simon, I know I quickly looked at the questions, but it was a few days ago, so I can't remember. Can you remember?
It was a few days ago, wasn't it? You're very right about that. So what we're talking about today is design workflow.
Right.
Now, I'm going to put the question to you, as our community that's able to contact me at this time. So when it comes to a particular workflow, is there anything that you find troublesome when you've been working with like WP Elevation on like site rebuilds or anything like that, or landing pages? There's been anything that's been like, oh, this is a stick in the mud, like this has become difficult with the workflow?
You're probably asking the wrong person.
Damn it.
Because I don't do anything like that now.
Well, there you go.
But I suppose we're talking about the processes, are we? That it's all coming back to your processes, or is it talking about?
No, more processes would be more like like in what order do we do things, and then you can kind of give it to a team member. But workflow is like more of a higher level, like the bigger kind of steps. Like first of all, I go to a pen and paper and I sketch.
Yep.
You know, as opposed to the process.
Well, I'd probably like to learn more about that.
The question
from you.
is, how does it happen? All right. So I can't remember exactly who it was, but one of the questions that we did get in the community was about getting approval from clients, and that being a really difficult thing. So at what point do you do that, and how do you control those revisions and like the unlimited feedback that you get?
Yep.
So the way that I handle that is by doing rounds of revisions, and like a round of revision is a single email with all the lists of the list of changes that the client wants to make.
Okay.
Now, what I'll do is I'll send a design to a client and I'll record a short video explaining it, and then I'll say, if you've just got a couple of short items for feedback, just email them through and number them. But if you have quite a few things, then let's catch up for a chat. And then we get feedback that way. So if you're not using any tools or anything like that, then I recommend doing it that way. That's nice and easy. But I also love using InVision, because you can, on the mock-up, you can click and get feedback, and that's super easy because it's in place on the exact spot.
Yep.
Instead of a client saying, make that brown more of a tan color. You're like, what the hell are you talking? Where is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we put a cat video on the bottom to the left? You have no idea, and you're not going to do it anyway, but it's very hard to communicate that. So tools like InVision and I think Project Huddle is another one that's built right into WordPress. Well, it's a WordPress plugin that I highly recommend. It's like InVision, but within WordPress, which is awesome.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so you can give feedback directly on the website, not just on a mock-up.
Oh, that's good. So how many times do you do these revisions throughout the project?
So I allow for 2 within the design stage.
Yep. And you find that sort of is enough for them to tell you what they want.
Well, we make sure it
hold
is.
that scope creep.
Yeah, we make sure it is enough. And we tell them well in advance that it's going to be 2, and this is how it works. As part of our onboarding process, that's how we train them that's how it's going to work.
Yep.
And that's how it's going to work, basically. If they want additional, they know that that's going to cost additional, and it's potentially going to impact the project schedule.
Right. So that's clearly laid out at the very beginning, which is why it's important to have that document at the beginning that they have signed and they know all the steps.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
There you go.
I like it.
That's
so were
how
there
it
any
goes
other
down.
tips on that?
Yeah, well, I'll dive into the whole workflow, and because that's next on the list, isn't it?
I
We
think
literally
so.
have no internet connection to either of our computers, and we rely on the internet to run our internet show. So we're looking at loading screens. So I'm just gonna let's leave it up because it looks more impressive if we have our screens up.
Yeah.
But let's dive into to look at the core topic and the gold nugget for this week.
Time to dig into the gold nugget.
Does that make you think of picking your nose? It always does, every time
Dig
for
in.
me. Dig into the gold nugget. Okay, cool. So,
I will now.
yeah, good. Today we're going to be talking about design workflow. So I'm just going to put my screen brightness down so I just don't look at it at all because it's completely
and I'll
irrelevant.
tell you if it comes back up.
Okay, cool. So the first step for me in my, first of all, why is design workflow even a thing that's important? Why do we even care about that? And I'll answer that question. Thank you so much for asking it, Jen. It's important because to be able to deliver consistently to your clients and to be able to scale your business, you need to be able to do things in a repeatable process that gets results. It's not just about a repeatable process, it's about one that gets results. Now that result is, in my view, it is client approval, it is also achieving the goals of the project. And it's for you to be efficient and profitable, okay? So they're the reasons that you need a design workflow.
Okay.
Okay?
Good.
So that's your why.
Tell me more.
Right. Tell me more. Cool. So, how do we go about doing this? So what you do at the beginning is you take, if you're coming up with your own design workflow, what I like to do is you take what already exists and just map that out. Even if you're not super happy with it, just take what you're doing anyway, think about the top level things that you work on, like what are the key steps that you work on, and just put them down into a bit of a loose document so you understand the different steps. What I'm going to go through is what tends to work for me and for my team, and what I also teach for others to do. I adapt this workflow to make sure it's continuously achieving those goals that I mentioned
important.
before.
So it's not set and forget. You
That's
do
right.
adapt it.
Yeah, exactly. Because you want to make sure that this works for you.
Yeah.
Someone's process and someone's workflow may be too complex for you, and you've got a better way.
Yeah.
Sure. Or you just don't need all those different steps because maybe you're working with, you're doing white label, so you don't need so much like client hand-holding because your client is an agency and they've got their own processes. So, always tweak and adapt someone's workflow and advice to suit your exact situation. So, step one, you need to have a look at the goals of the project. You need a clear brief, okay? So that is one of the most important things. We did have an episode on planning a web design project. I would have had the link for you, but I don't.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, it's in the show notes already. Well, yeah, it's in there. So you can go back and take a look at the project planning episode where we go a bit into a brief, but I think we should do that in another episode, like really diving into a clear brief. So you need to plan, you need to understand what is the successful outcome of this project, okay? So we're not just designing for art and for things that are pretty, we're designing for business objectives. That's going to make you a much more valuable consultant if you're achieving measurable results.
And you would have found out what those results that the client wants are when you've had your meeting with them, your go wide, go deep meeting with them.
Exactly right.
So you'll know very clearly what those objectives are
Yep.
before you start doing this stage.
Yep, exactly. So once you know those goals and once you've got your brief organized, you do a bit of research and understand a bit more about the client industry, understand like what kind of level of site we're looking at here. Because if you're designing for a web agency, you do have to create something that's a bit more creative. If you're designing for a bricklayer, it doesn't need to be something that's got a lot of like interesting new web effects and transitions and stuff like that. So you got to design for the purpose, right?
Yep.
So you understand those things before you dive in and do anything, right? So the first thing I do, and I actually use one of these things. This app is called Paper, and this thing is a pen.
Wow.
And what I do first of all to get started is I like options. Like I really like options. I'm not very good at just going, that's the one thing and just dive in. I'm like, let's look at 6 and then which one I like, we'll dive down there.
Okay.
So what I'll do to begin with is I'll divide this into some areas. Can you screen share this paper? No? We can't screen share paper. Oh my God.
I think it's very, yeah, we'll hold it up in a second.
This is a great day of things
God,
working.
now we haven't even got the pen working.
So my pen's not even working, but that is just a grid of 6 different areas. So what I'm going to do in these 6 different areas, with another pen some other time, is I will then go in and I'll just lay out what I want on the website, right?
Okay.
So you can just look and pretend the pen works.
I think there's even a pen behind Max. Let's see if Max can chuck it to us and we'll live TV.
If you catch this, go for it. I'm just going to watch.
I'm really bad at ball spots.
All right, cool.
Okay.
So what we're going to do now,
Max.
cheers Max, what we're going to do now is we're going to just take this and I'm just going to put in a web browser, right? And then I'm going to put in a space for the logo. I'm going to put in a little space for that top bar. Phone number can go over here. The menu can go here. And then a big slider here. And then a little bit of text. And then a button.
All right, we better show.
So that's option 1.
Option 1.
Over that way.
Oh, and we've got to hold it back though, otherwise it's too... Okay, so there we go. That's cool. Nice.
Option 1, right? So I'm not going to go into all the options, but you get the idea. So you come up with a couple of different options of layouts that you like in a super rough, almost disgusting kind of way, where you can just see, okay, well, how do I want the elements to look? Would it make sense with a top bar? Would it make sense without a top bar? And you're always referring back to the goals of the website. What are those key objectives that you want?
Yep.
Yeah, so I start with that, and then I just create 6. Sometimes it's just 3, but it's enough space for me to just get things out of my head. How do we want this to work? And when I say me, I also do this with my team. So it's not just about me doing it, it's about using this exact same process with the team. And we can get feedback at each stage of this before we're handing it over to the client. So we're always checking in to make sure that goals and expectations and what we're delivering, they're matching up along the way. Yep. Not just here's the brief, go design. Oh, that's not quite right. Let's revise. Where did we go wrong? Going through this process just in the design phase really helps to stay on track.
And it's going to save you a lot of time in the long run too.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love this.
Exactly.
This is good.
So that's super easy to do. If you don't know anything about design, this is quite easy to do because,
even if you can't draw very well, it's not hard to do some boxes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the next step that I work on after this is I'll go into Sketch. Now that is my tool of choice and my team's tool of choice when it comes to prototyping. So we'll create a loose mock-up in Sketch. So we'll just use the lines and the gray area and we'll just create boxes and we'll just put things where they need to be. So it'll be a bit more high fidelity than that one, a little bit more accurate. So we'll create that in Sketch, the one that we've decided that we like. Yep. And then we'll get approval for that basically, if we need feedback at that stage. And when I say get approval, I mean just internally. We'll have a chat and go, oh, does that make sense that these are here? Cool, that makes sense. Next step, we're gonna now make it beautiful, right? So we'll put in the client's actual content at this stage. So you need to make sure you've got that first. The episode on project planning will help with that. And I definitely think we should have an episode on collecting client content. That could probably be about 300 episodes on that.
That's a biggie.
Yeah, we'll give it a shot. So we want to add in the actual client content in there, photos, graphics, logo, the actual text that they want to use into the design. Because if you're just using lorem ipsum all the time, it's not accurate. It doesn't fill the space in the correct way. So your design isn't going to be within the actual content. It's not going to be correct.
Okay. Question though. So would you so you wouldn't show the client what you got together in
like
Sketch,
this process?
in Sketch before, like what happens if you start doing all your content, you've got the pictures and they go, oh, I don't think I like that layout. Like, so you wouldn't show them the Sketch version first?
As in this one or the next one?
From your software.
Well, actually, we have another episode on prototyping. Which, is another part that I think really helps with this whole process as well.
Okay.
So that's when you're creating the features and you're putting them in place in the browser. We actually did that, I think, with Beaver Builder or Elementor. But either way, any of the page builders just help you create a prototype nice and fast.
So then you'd show the prototype to them
and get approval on the prototype
before
first.
you'd then start with the stage you were just talking about.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you're just going through design and prototyping is not something that you're going to dive into, if you're a designer, prototyping might be a little bit outside of what your capabilities are.
Okay.
But it definitely helps to move things along if you can get that approval on the prototype stage.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's a really good point. Client doesn't like where things are. It's really, a lot of this is about positioning yourself as early as possible as being the expert, because you get a lot more yeses when you are the expert.
Yeah.
By having a clear process and by saying no and pushing back on clients really helps to position you. Putting out your own content, doing a lot of videos, speaking at conferences where your potential clients are. It's a great way to position yourself.
And I think when starting out, that's one area where we often fall down on, is that we don't have that confidence, and then you sort of say yes to something and then it keeps going.
Yep.
But I think that's critical. If you're the expert, they will listen to what you have to say, and if they come back with something, no, this is why we're doing it this way, and you explain it and you bring it back to the goals of what they discussed in that original meeting.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So when you've completed the mock-up and you've got the design ready and you present it to the client, I like to record a video and go over the mock-up. So I'll export it, put it into InVision, just the homepage. So we'll do that first, and we get approval on that first.
Yep.
I'll do a quick video, and I'll talk through it, and I'll tie back in our design decisions and how they go back into the goals that they've got in the brief. So I'm speaking in their language anyway. So I'll say we put this is a recent one I actually did. We put this ebook and the pop-up there because we want to help you build an email growth machine, was something that they put in the brief. And then I remember the feedback they got was like, I particularly liked the part when you said email growth machine. I was like, well, that's your words.
Yes,
yeah.
But that's perfect.
It just helps to push things along a little bit further. Instead of them thinking, well, that yellow doesn't make sense. They're like, email growth machine, sweet.
Yeah.
It's achieving the goals. This person knows what they're doing. I can live with that yellow.
Yeah.
I'm in safe hands.
Great.
Their goals are goals are shared.
And I also like the way you do this in a video, because it just lets it sink into them without them saying, but this. Like, don't have that face-to-face or, over the phone first. Let it sink in with the video and what you've done, and use that language in the video.
Exactly.
And I think let that sink in before you go to the next stage.
You can get your point across in your own time as well. Yeah, and you can re-record that until you're like, yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unlike episodes where the internet goes off, you can't re-record those. Did you know that?
No.
So, all right, so what are we up to? We've delivered the mock-up to the clients, and, pretty happy with that. So we've got the homepage. The next part is revisions. Like, how do we manage these revisions?
Okay.
As I was saying before, we do that with a single email where they've numbered it. We also show them how to use InVision, where they can click and they could write in what they want. But at the end, having a meeting with the client and getting all of those things together is one of the best ways to do it. Because you can have that one meeting and say, this is revision 1, we're going to go through all of you give them enough time to review it. You're going to go through all of the different things that they need feedback on. You create those notes, you feed them back to the client and say, here's all the feedback for revision 1, is that right? Cool, we're going to go off and give that a shot.
Great.
So until you get the approval on the homepage, you don't work on any of the other pages.
That's good.
Yeah.
And so you do that, like you said, via meeting, so via Skype if they're not close by, or face-to-face meeting?
Only ever online for me, personally.
Yeah, okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
Saves your time.
That way, yeah, because I've got clients all over the world, and I just like to set things up so that they can be online.
Easily done.
Just a lot of wasted time with meetings and travel and all that stuff.
True.
Yeah.
And InVision, it's easy enough for them to use? No clients come back going, oh, I don't quite get how to use this?
No. No clients come back saying that. Okay. It is easy enough to use, and no clients come back saying that. Yeah, it is really easy. And so is Project Huddle too. They're both absolutely fantastic for this case.
Cool.
Yeah. And then when it comes to getting approvals, there's quite a lot of different tools. I personally like to use Better Proposals, which is proposal software, but I like to use it to get approvals for this. But there is another tool that I think we recommend called HelloSign. Does that ring any bells?
Doesn't.
Man, there's other tools.
There's other good ones. But we know Adam as well, and he's great from Better Proposals, so we like that.
Getting a signature is really important. So you want to get that approval. So they don't come back and say, well, I actually got my auntie to take a look at this, and she's a hairdresser, she knows colours. And maroon on the buttons would be much better. Yeah. And there's not enough Comic Sans in the main header. So if you could just sort that out and get back to us, that'd be great. So don't want that.
Definitely
Signature,
not.
move on. Let's make a decision and get this launched. Okay? There you go.
I'm loving these tips.
So there's the workflow.
So we'll put that out too in a dot point, so make
Yeah,
sure
I do have that prepared in a Google Doc, but because that's on the internet, we can't look at it.
And it's just come back though.
It hasn't?
It's just
Okay,
come back.
let's have a look.
So yeah, you'll find that on wpelevation.com/blog. You'll see that on our blog. We'll put that up on the show notes.
Cool.
But yeah, that's some really good tips there. Thank you.
No worries.
Yeah.
So there's one more part.
Yes, please. Go.
The last part is handing over to the developer. Now, this is something that can make or break the next part of the project, which is actually building the design. So if you're not someone who's going to be building, you've created the design and you hand it over to someone to build this, they need to know things that don't exist on a static mock-up. Like, what does the hover state look like? Are there any animations? When you scroll, does anything move around? Does something autoplay, such as a slideshow or a video? Like, how does that work? So creating just a separate document and adding the notes into that is definitely one step I recommend. It's nice and easy. There's also a tool called Zeppelin that plugs straight into Sketch. And what that does is it creates like a style guide. So all your buttons, spacing, fonts will come out with the hex colors into a style guide. And that's pretty awesome. It doesn't do anything when it comes to like hover states, as far as I'm aware. But it's definitely a good starter to create a style guide that you can then hand over to the developer.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
So there you go. So I'll then have a chat with the developer to make sure they understand what needs to be produced, what the ideal outcome's going to be, that they know the goals as well of the entire project, so they can make sure that we're all on the same page and they're comfortable with what it is that they're going to produce. And then fire away, dive in.
Sounds good.
Yeah. There you go. There's the design workflow by Simon Kelly.
Thanks, Simon.
Cool, no worries.
We've got the internet back up now, so
Hooray!
now we can move on.
Now we can start the show.
As we're drawing to a close.
Cool. So we do have a document that you can actually access that just has these notes in a structured way. Hopefully I didn't forget anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just got it nice and easy as well as the tools that I use for each stage of the process. So I hope you find that useful. With those tools though, there is of course one that stands out above the rest.
And what would that be?
Get ready for Tool of the Week.
Tool of the week this week is Sketch.
Drum roll, wait. Oh, you gave it away before the drum roll. Start again.
Stop. This week's tool of the week is Sketch.
Woohoo!
Sketch is awesome. It's so easy to use. I find it much better than using Photoshop to be able to produce wireframes, to produce mock-ups, to just really get started and just jump in and create something. I find it awesome. They've recently introduced prototyping into Sketch. So you can actually click on different screens and move between it in a presentation. Ooh. So you could have a mock-up and say, client, click on that, and then a pop-up will appear, which is a whole different image, but you can actually use things and move around the screen.
Wow, that sounds good.
I'm actually, me and my team are actually redesigning the UI for a web app for one of our clients in the States. And we tested out this prototyping feature, and it was just awesome during the presentation with their whole team. It was just awesome to be able to click through to different things, and they would say, "Oh, well, can you go back to that other screen and how does that pop-up look?" And I wasn't looking for the screen; I was clicking the navigation on an image to get there. I thought that was really cool. So it just made it seem like it's a bit more real. Without building it, which would have been a nightmare because it's really complicated. But it was good.
And what's the price like for Sketch?
So Sketch, I think, is $90 for a year. So $90 per seat per year, I'm pretty sure. The prototyping feature's built in, and it comes with Sketch Cloud, so you can actually push your prototype to Sketch Cloud and you can view it there. But I still really like InVision, and the Sketch prototyping actually plugs into InVision. So if you create your prototype in Sketch, move it over to InVision, those clicks will work in InVision, which has one project for free.
That's nice.
Woo, there you go.
A lot of information to digest in this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so it's a thumbs up for Sketch.
Absolutely.
That's
What's
it.
next?
I'm ready for a coffee after all that.
Absolutely. I feel like I've just had 10 coffees. Cool. So, you know, like we like to give you things in bite-sized chunks. Massive in digestible bite-sized chunks. I hope you found this useful. I'd really be interested to know, what is your design workflow? I'd love to know if there's anything that I can take and steal from that and improve mine. But if there's anything that really resonated with you, something that you think, oh wow, like that's really useful, that's going to help me, or something that might be able to help us, that we could do better, please let us know in the comments. Do we have any comments right now?
Yeah, we've got lots of comments. Jasmine thinks that Sketch $90 is well priced, so that's good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, thanks, Jasmine. She said we're doing a good job here with the internet down. Now, Colleen says, just getting on, so don't know if you mentioned Copyscape. Yes.
Yeah,
yep. So that's a great one. Yep. So, yeah, but lots of comments. Keep them coming. As we said, you can tune into our Facebook Live or watch this on YouTube.
Colleen says, Comic Sans, lol. Awesome. I wanted to get someone's attention with that one. Cool.
Troy will be back next week, just everyone. So I'll be behind the scenes next week, cheering you guys on.
Cool.
And what else did we have to update you on? Remember, WP Wednesday, get onto that, subscribe, that's a ripper. And I think that's...
Let us know what you'd like to learn next.
Yeah. Oh, yes, that's what I wanted to say. You talked about a couple of really good things that I think would go well. So, like, moving on, we were talking about getting content from clients. I think that's another good one.
Yep.
And what was the other thing you mentioned that'd be a good episode?
We'll might have to watch this one back.
But remind us, because I think there's so much, like, we talk about one thing, but then it leads on to so many other things. So we'll make sure that we cover those and, yeah, give us the feedback. Yeah,
exactly. And watch some of those previous episodes on prototyping and website planning. We'll link to those ones as well, so you can check those out and build your ultimate workflow.
Woohoo!
Cool.
Should we see if we can remember the sign-off
again? Do you want to take it? Do you want to give it a shot?
All right, until we see you next time, remember that knowledge is power.
And silence is golden.